Welcome to the Pathways to Prosperity podcast, where we explore personal, professional, and financial success stories of top achievers. Let's dive in.
Welcome to Pathways to Prosperity for entrepreneurs. Today we're joined with Scott Peper, CEO of Mobilization Funding, who's transforming how construction and manufacturing businesses manage their cash flow. With a passion for financial empowerment, Scott helps companies not only scale without the typical financial roadblocks, but he also helps them grow. So let's take a little dive into his insights and his funding and growth. So, how are you doing, Scott?
I'm good. I'm good, Tristan. Thanks for joining, man. And thanks for joining. Thanks for letting me come on your show. I appreciate the invite and the introduction.
No, of course. So you don't mind us telling our viewers where are you stationed at right now? Where are you doing your podcast from?
So I'm in my office here in Tampa, Florida. We have a little podcast room. We do a podcast also, so this is very convenient, easy for me to have a space to go. Our podcast is called The Construction MFers, and we have all different guests on it. And so one side of the room over here is set up for if we do live guests and a couple chairs, your normal podcast setup. And then the Zoom side of it, where I'll do most of the stuff that I do either individually or have guests on and talking to folks like yourself, I'll do from this side of the room.
Nice, I like it. No, yeah, when we first got on the podcast, you're over here just getting all the lights and your background. I love it. You know, I wish one day we'll have it for us and out in Phoenix. But I love the fact that how you have your setup. I love you're seeing all the shadows, but you look perfect. I promise you. I'm not just talking down my butt. So
thanks. Well, it actually can get better. The lights and everything, as I was telling you before, we shot a few things in here yesterday for a couple things we're doing for our website and launch of our one of our platforms that we're going to use for our lending program. Okay. And we were doing that, but we unplugged all the lights. We rearranged the room to get these other cameras and folks in here. And of course, when I came in today, it was not easy to put back together. So yeah, the lights aren't on. We got cameras moving around. So it was good. But you know what? I'm here. We're good. It's all good, man. It's all good.
But that's all that matters, you know. So you're speaking of lending and all the funding aside. Can you possibly give us this quick snapshot of what your business looks like?
Yeah, I mean, look, we are an individual private lender. Our company created a lending program called Mobilization Funding, and it solves the specific needs of construction contractors, specifically commercial construction contractors, as well as other business owners, manufacturing, some retail, and it really solves that problem when you're trying to grow the access to capital you need in order to be able to add your new customers, take on the additional projects, and still pay your vendors and pay labor and take care of your payroll. Those are real cash needs. And unless you can go to the bank or you have endless amounts of cash yourself, you need some access to capital. And unfortunately, the businesses that we take care of, those traditional methods are just not available to them. Banks don't want to lend to construction contractors. They don't want to lend to businesses that are growing. They're more worried about how can you pay for the type of debt or lending programs they have, not necessarily what type of lending program can I provide for you to be able to grow. And so that opens up the opportunities for the private lending markets like ourselves to be able to create programs and lending situations that are catered specifically to our types of customers.
So how did you get into the space? I mean, no one just becomes a fund, or I mean, maybe they do, right? I mean, maybe you're like when you're a little kid, you're like, I want to do funds for construction businesses. Like, what gave you the idea to really scale this and be able to be successful with this?
Yeah, like, you know, I'd love to tell you there was some creative idea. We all sat down and like zenned out and it just came to us, but that wasn't the case. You know, coming from the sales background, I spent most of my career, 20 years or so, the first 20 years in the medical device business, learning from big corporate America, selling. I was a sales guy, and then I was sales manager, and then I managed the managers and kind of took my trajectory through that corporate process. But how I got into this business was a friend of mine called one day and said, hey, look, we have this idea. There's a big need out there for commercial contractors and other businesses. They're coming out of the downturn here. They have all this opportunity in front of them, and no one wants to lend them any money, and they need working capital to execute their work. They can borrow the money up front, use it for materials, labor, equipment, payroll, and then they can pay it back to us while they're getting paid. We just need to create a program that allows for that. And so it kind of came out of the surety world originally with some of the construction contractors.
Right.
Sureties were trying to write bonds, payment and performance bonds, and they couldn't meet the working capital requirements that were needed to approve the bond. And so they had met my friend. He called me. He said, "You're perfectly qualified because your dad owned a construction business," which makes me zero qualified, candidly. And
Right.
that's how we got into it. And so we made our first loan to an electrical contractor. It was a $40,000 loan that we made ourselves. We executed, and of course, like every good idea, it goes perfect at first until it doesn't. And then, we stumbled upon mistake and another contractor. And then we shaped over the last 14 years the program that I described to you up front. But the basic premise of it, who we were working with, what problem we were trying to solve, is the same exact problem that started the entire idea in business.
Well, I love how you're not only becoming the bank, but you're providing what you sell, right? I mean, banks, you just kind of go to a bank and they're like, oh, hey, this is where I'm going to get my money from. But it seems like it's more or less not intimate, but more like it's really about who you are and your core values versus going to Chase Bank and asking for their banking world. I love the fact that you have those qualifications and those requirements a little bit more lax, but it sounds like you have it fine tuned. So in this competition of being able to lend to companies, like what do you think sets you apart from them?
Good question. The first thing that sets us apart is we're very focused on who we help.
Okay.
We're also very focused on who we don't help. We're not trying to compete with banks. We're not. Most of our clients actually may have a bank line of credit, candidly, or some other lending relationship.
Mhm.
We also aren't trying to compete with every other scenario out there. We know where we can help, and we've designed a program that's very capable, and honestly, it's the best in the world for what we do. And those folks that are looking at new jobs, new projects, a new opportunity, onboarding a new customer, that's a scenario that no other lender is just driving or running into or trying to solve for. Now, they'll lend money and the customer may use the money for that scenario, but we designed a specific loan program to help business owners and businesses take on new work, have the money they need up front, and pay us back as they're paid by their customer, essentially blending the cash flow out.
Mhm.
Now, where we really separate ourselves is we treat our customers with the absolute utmost value first mindset. And we want to think about not just providing them money, but we want to solve their problem. And the problem isn't money all the time. It's money, but it's also a cash flow problem. It's an education problem. I don't know what I need, so I know I need some money, so I'm just going to take some. But sometimes they take too much. Sometimes they take too little. Sometimes they take just enough, but it's in the wrong order, and they have to pay it back in the wrong manner, and that creates cash flow stress. So we created a cash flow tools and cash flow education for business owners who know how to execute and get work done, but they don't understand exactly how much cash they're going to need to get it done. And so our loan program and our tools cater to being able to help them figure out exactly how much they need, when they need it, based on their sets of assumptions. And then we can also provide them that capital in an organized and structured manner that allows them to do the job as efficiently as possible, do it very well, be paid, and then pay the loan back in the same revenue cycle that they're trying to finance. And that's the real key, because a lot of times business owners get stuck either not having access to cash, or they take the wrong loan and they overburden or overlever their company in too much debt. And then that debt service is what crushes them. So being able to keep it inside the revenue cycle, use it, pay it back, and do it always for growth, or always to gain new business, or to gain or execute work they already have, keeps them very safe, but allows them to grow in the manner they're capable of.
I love the fact that you're not only lending them money, but you're also lending them knowledge. Like you said, a lot of businesses, what they do is they take too much money and now they're like, oh, I have all this extra money. So they spend it on X, Y, and Z, but you have what it sounds like a system to where they're able to really understand, hey, I don't need to take this much money out. I don't need to take this little amount of money. So I love the fact that you're able to not only give them a service, but also give them education. I think that a lot of businesses, especially when they're younger, right? I mean, they don't see the bigger picture in the very beginning. They just see, hey, I didn't get this job done.
That's
And
right.
then what happens is change orders happen. Now they need to do X, Y, and Z. And so I love the fact that you're able to really help them educate and really bring that forward to now for them to be a better business. Now,
Yeah,
again,
and
yeah.
that you're exactly right. That's the key. And we provide those tools for free. They're on our
Wow.
website, they're
Okay.
in our system. You don't have to be a customer or a client or take out a loan to access this information. And that's the value driven first mindset. You want to be able to provide answers. You want to be able to be the person, the guy or the gal that,
Right, right, right.
someone can go
Yeah.
to and they can get the information. And if you can help prevent people from either getting involved in problems that they otherwise aren't aware of they could get into, i.e. business,
Right.
or they can actually get enough education and information to get out of a problem they're already in, you've now built a good relationship with that person and provide that value first. Now, when they go about taking the path that they want to take
Mhm.
the next time or that time, and they need cash, they'll at least give you probably the opportunity to see if you can help them out. And if you
Right.
can't, they'll probably let other people know that they can help, who you are and what that you can help them too. And that's how the world should really work. You provide value first, someone
Mhm.
else will see that as valuable, and then they'll help you out in return when the time's right.
Yeah, I feel like that the art of, I guess, like sales, I guess you could say, has been a lot more pushy and hasn't really became more or less, what can I do to help you out? And then, like you said, then hey, like this guy, just help me out with this loan. He's helped me with his education. What else can he help me with? Like other services can he provide versus saying, hey, take this loan, take this loan, take this loan. I love
Yeah.
that. I love the fact that you're really able to really bring that out.
And look, man, anybody can in the lending world. It's not like we're selling this cup where, man, all I have to do is tell you it's an awesome cup and you buy it, right?
Right.
We can't help everybody in the
Mhm.
loan program. Some people we're gonna be able to say yes to, and others we're gonna be able to say no to. But we can always help them, even the people that we say no to, or even the people that don't need us. We've helped more people realize they actually don't need a loan. If you just tweak these two or three things with your vendor, and they go about doing that, and they execute the work, and they get the courage to take on bigger jobs and maybe or extra jobs, and then they come back to us and be like, "Hey, now I do need a loan. Now I need help," and we do, and that's fine too. I think you build that trust and respect in one another over the time that you're helping each other without any expectation in return. But you also have to have a product or a service, in our case, a loan program. It has to be awesome though, too. It has to work. You don't want to try to stuff a square peg in a round hole, so to speak. So your program has to work, which is why I get back to my original point of why we are so focused on who we can help and also who we can't. Because if you provide something to someone that they don't need, or you provide something to someone that doesn't work, and they thought it would, that doesn't help you
Right.
either person.
So going back to the very beginning, and you're saying like how, you weren't a little kid and they said, hey, I'm gonna have this lending business.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're saying that how like you had all the struggles and the growths. So what was one of the biggest challenges you had to overcome growth or challenges in your business?
It's a good question. There was a lot. Failing is the biggest one. You start to make mistakes. You got to overcome those. Mistakes in our world show up as bad loans, typically. Someone
Right.
doesn't pay you back, which
Mhm.
creates its own cash flow concerns. Growth, doing a great job, created cash flow concerns. And when I say cash flow concerns, I think a lot of people might think, oh yeah, you're lending, you just have endless supplies of money to lend. You really don't, especially when you're trying to start out, just like any other business. So, raising money that we had available to go lend was hard. Just like raising money or getting debt to go execute work is hard. So those same struggles existed for us too. We were, 5 years into business before we got our first line of credit that we could
Wow.
utilize from a bank as a senior credit facility to help make the loans we make. So I was out raising money from private individuals or other type of folks, businesses that, so that we had money to lend. So when someone came to us and we did say yes, we actually had the cash. Can you imagine going to a lender, getting approved, or you got approved and now you need the money and they don't have it?
But like, well, yeah, who is this guy? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that stuff happens all the time. We have customers that come to us and their factoring company or their lender ran out of money or just stopped.
Wow.
being able to pay for them. And that happens. People, we've seen it many, many times. And so those were struggles just like any other business owner. And so I think that's what's cool about being able to tell these kind of stories is when you're not a bank, you pretty much had the same problems and struggles just like any business. It's just you learn and keep moving just like everybody else. So there's really not any different. You're just providing a loan program instead of a product or a service like they may be doing.
Right. No, I mean that's the thing is like you have to learn. And the thing is, as we're talking about, personal growth and planning, it's interesting to consider how, individuals like yourself or successful entrepreneurs really pave the way for their future. So how do you apply this to your future insights on like your investments? Like, do you have anything that you do for your future investing on yourself, on your like not only in your business but also like in your personal life?
Yeah. So, my wife and I have been together 25 years and married almost 23 years now. And we have three daughters. They're all teenage daughters. One's about to go to college here soon. And so preparing financially and living in a financially disciplined manner is hard by itself. It's definitely hard while you're growing a business. And it's also hard to be financially disciplined inside your business. And so, yeah, I do have financial investments. I've worked with someone, professionals that can help me do that. You can't be everything to yourself. So you should try to find the professional services. We talk about that a lot. Your accountants, your lawyers, your financial service professionals, just like a doctor, you shouldn't try to operate on yourself. If you're not an accountant, you probably shouldn't do your own accounting. Those are the real, I kind of live on that premise. But, investing in your kids' education, I think you get back to the same basic principles. You should live below your means.
Mhm.
You should, I don't know where your faith is at, but you should tithe and you should
Right.
give to God. And then you should also save it. And then that's good financial discipline. And if you live on 75 or 80% of what your take home pay is, and you save 10% and you give away 10%, you'll be surprised at what you can accomplish over time. In the future, if you're depending on what you're doing, if you're working at a business or if you're an entrepreneur working at a company, which is a really key important role, everybody needs those folks. And by the way, you can earn an amazing living without all the risk of the business owner. So I think it's a great tool. But if you're an entrepreneur and you're listening to this, you have to be financially disciplined. You have to get very, very comfortable with the term delayed gratification. You cannot, when you start earning money inside that business, it should stay right there inside that business. The temptation to pull that money out, the temptation to use it for things that would be positive for you, you should feel that and then delay it another 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Because once you get to the point where your business is self-sustaining, has a great balance sheet, has cash in it, you will then be able to take that money out in a much more meaningful way than if you try to take it when it's too soon. And you have to be really disciplined to be able to do that. And I think it starts at home. Living below your means, the money you do take out of your business for yourself to survive, like you got to be all in and be very close to that and live below your means. And then I think inside the business, you need to create those savings plans and use the cash in an appropriate, responsible way.
I feel like that a lot of people, especially nowadays, they don't understand what living below their means are. I just see our debt slowly raising. People are more comfortable being in debt. And whether they have a business or not, I feel like a lot of young people, especially people my age, they just like you said, they don't want the delayed satisfaction. They want the instant gratification. And I feel like that's what a lot of people haven't taught them. And I also feel like that social media plays a huge role in this. I mean, we talked about it earlier. You go, there'll be like a social influencer who has 100,000 followers, but has 20 clips, probably in one mansion that they rented out. So I really want to use this to show them that, hey, I understand that you want that money now. I understand you want to have that success now, but the personal growth that you go through 10 times or 10x's what you'll be able to make now versus what you're ever able to make in the future versus now. So I think it's really
Yeah, and I think instead of accumulating money, one of the things that helps early on, if you think about accumulating knowledge and experiences and what you can do and tools and attributes. When I'm talking about tools, I mean like tools that you will never leave you, from those experiences, lessons learned, reading books. Once you're equipped, if you think about like trying to build a house with a half the toolbox,
Right.
think about how can I fill this toolbox, and like I don't need to start swinging every tool in here until it's actually full. And if you think about like adding those by reading a book, got a new
Yeah.
tool. Read another book, learn that lesson. Read another book, got an attribute. Made a mistake, failed, learned a lesson. There's some new attributes that I have available. At the same time you're growing your business and expanding, you'll realize that you really don't know much at all. And the more you know and put it into practice, the more success you have, the more you realize you don't know yet either where you're going.
Right.
You don't even, there's even more you don't know. And so if you just get really comfortable with the fact that you're going to have to keep learning and you should always live below your means to keep yourself financially disciplined, that financial discipline will remove extra pressure or excess pressure that you would put on yourself that you don't need while you're trying to go through something that's already very difficult, especially for entrepreneurs. But even if you're working for a company with a great salary, if you get over levered or you move too fast or you're spending above your means, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're going to feel this, you're going to get yourself in a stressful situation.
Yeah, I feel like that discipline is something that it's really hard to have nowadays. I don't think it's hard. I think that a lot of people don't want to not fall in the category. I feel like very disciplined people, you don't see them out. You don't see them partying. You don't see them drinking. You don't see them posting on any social media. And then when they see them outside the world, they're like, oh, like, where have you been? They're like, oh, I've been scaling up my business. I've been working on myself. Like you said, I've been reading. So I feel like adding those disciplines, even to something small. There's a book I was reading. It was Atomic Habits. You can't just overchange your life within like an hour or like a day.
Right.
You need to take small steps, like something small, like, oh, I want to brush my teeth in the morning. I mean, some people don't. I mean, hey, I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but I'm saying like, it could be a small.
Definitely
small
should brush
thing.
your teeth in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely should. Maybe put it put in the shower. But something small, if then that it's like a snowball effect. You're able to really see not only time management, you're able to see like how you're able to really shape your life.
Mm-hmm.
But so as we're wrapping up this interview, do you have any exciting plans or initiatives that's happening within in the next 6 to 12 months at all?
Yeah, look, we're 14 years in business here at Mobilization Funding, and we are literally just getting started on our real growth trajectory. And so getting our name and our awareness out there and the programs we've built, we've added almost 100% of we've basically doubled our employee headcount in the last 12 months. We've added 5 or 6 new leadership positions. We've expanded our lines of capital, and we are now getting ready to create what I like to call even more awareness about who we are and that we even exist. One of the things that we hear the most is, I wish I heard about you 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years
Right.
ago. Oh, I wish I knew you were there before I did X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
And, talk about delayed gratification. When one of the reasons it's taken us so long, or taking me so long to figure out, because I was here from the beginning, is, we try to do things too fast, and you make mistakes that cost you 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
And I didn't have that delayed gratification, and I didn't have all that same discipline that I have now. And, instead of being in year 8 doing what we're about to do in year 14, I'm in year 14 about to do it. And so, although we've had great success, especially in the last few years, we're just like literally scratching the surface of the people that even need to know that we exist, let alone whether or not they would be a customer of ours or want to be a customer of ours. And so what we're getting ready to do now is really create a lot of awareness about mobilization funding, who we are, what we do, how we exist, what's out there in the construction space, trying to help solve problems for construction, which is a huge labor issue right now.
Yeah.
I did a TED talk that's going to come out in 2 weeks, 2 or 3
Oh.
weeks, hopefully. And just trying to solve problems for the customers that we have out there. And in return, hoping that as they grow and improve, we'll have an opportunity to maybe help them out too.
No, I love that. I feel like that being able to really, like you said, maybe they don't need you now, maybe they don't need you in like a year, but once you have and build that rapport and show them, hey, this is why we're successful. This is our ratings that we have, and really build that from the very beginning, even from like ground up businesses, and being able to kind of, I guess, like funnel them towards you without really them knowing, right? On Facebook or something, or those small ads.
Yeah.
Having that social media presence, maybe use TikTok, maybe you utilize the reels that they have. I mean, like you said, your TED Talk's gonna come out here in a few weeks. So now you can possibly do, like, after that, put them in small clips, throw them in the TikTok space, maybe try to put them in like the certain tags or handles, and I mean, bam. I mean, they might not be in Florida, but they might be in California, right? They might be in some areas where you never thought, just because that social media nowadays, I feel like, is word of mouth. It is in your face. Like Chick-fil-A doesn't have any ads, but they love their TikTok, they love their social media. So I definitely see a very big booming presence that you can bring that's unique and beautiful. And I really love that. I really do love that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. So if you don't mind, like, where could our viewers go find you? Like, are there any social medias that you're on? Like, I know I have you on LinkedIn. Like, are there any special areas that you want them to kind of look at first?
Yeah. The best place to find me is on LinkedIn, but our company at mobilizationfunding.com, we have a great website. All of our tools are on there that I mentioned. There's tons of information, education. And then we have a really great YouTube channel with a lot of great, all of our podcasts are on there, as well as any other place you'd see podcasts. You can, and our YouTube channel has lots of shorts, lots of lessons, webinars, teachings, and that's on YouTube at Mobilization Funding.
Okay.
And then we also have a podcast called The Construction MFers. You can find us on there too, and access any information you can get.
I really love like construction MFers. That's honestly, I don't know where you got it from, but hey, that's honestly probably one of the greatest. Well, a really good podcast name. Maybe we need
Well, I wish I had our sign up. As I was telling you, we use the studio as a sign, but otherwise you'd be able to see it typically right behind me. But you've seen our logo, Mobilization Funding, with the cross. And so all of our customers started calling us MFers, MFers. You guys are MFers, MF is, the whole thing. And so we just accepted it, actually. And it's, so it's construction, our logo dash ERS, and so it's cool. Yeah, we like it.
Well, thank you very much, Scott, and thank you very much for spending your valuable time with us. I love the insight you're giving us. I love the give back method and the educational method that you're bringing to your customers.
Thanks, Tristan. I appreciate it, man. And thank you for the time. And I appreciate you guys, you and Terrence, letting me be on your show. Gotcha.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I hope to see you again, and I really want to see those social medias. I want to see this. Well, I'm just sliding on TikTok, all right? I want to see I want to see the MFers on my feed.
You got it, man. You got it.
All right. Well, hope you have a great day, guys, and hope you have a great day also, Scott.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Pathways to Prosperity podcast. Got a success story to share? Visit pathwaystoprosperitypodcast.com/guest and apply today.